All right. It is Sunday. We just finished going over Extreme Rules. Well, not too much Extreme Rules, except we only had one match that was extreme for the most part. But what a shitty ending that was. I'm joined by Mike Lanham as always, and my name is Kenny Dinkins, and we are representing the Run-In Podcast here at the Fit Cave, going over Extreme Rules tonight. Mike, what did you think so far of the pay-per-view?
I mean, the overall pay-per-view wasn't bad. It just, now that you go back and we're going to talk about it. Like, now that I reflect on it, I'm like, nothing's really memorable about tonight. Like, it was just like a filler pay-per-view. Like,
It felt like a regular show.
Yeah. I mean, I like that it's all wrestling, so it gets away from like cheesy storylines and stuff like that. But so you don't have all these interviews and like random segments. So the wrestling was fine, but overall, like, I'm just into the show, and I'm like, okay, well, we're past that. On to the draft, on to Survivor Series, whatever.
I mean, they gave us two segments, two backstage segment, with three. If you think of the kickoff show, because you had Kofi Kingston, The New Day, and Bobby Lashley, AJ Styles, and Omos going at it backstage, which led into a match at Extreme Rules. But we had the kickoff show, which was actually good, which I really wasn't a fan of the Liv Morgan Carmella match, but watching them on the kickoff show was actually pretty good. Like, I mean, Liv Morgan can, she's a really good wrestler, so, you just got to give her that chance. And, I think the kickoff show showed what she can do with Carmella, and it gave us something fresh. What did you think?
Yeah, Liv's really came into her own over the last year or so. I think it's a lot like other tag teams. Like, when they go to split up, like the Riot Squad, you look at one of them, you're like, that's the one that's not going to make it. And I mean, she's the only one that's still there. She's surviving. She's on TV. Like, she doesn't win all of her matches, but like, her wrestling's not bad. The storylines are kind of cheesy. She's fighting the same people over and over. But if you're not going to have her in the title picture, at least like, she's getting competitive matches. She's on the pay-per-view. Like, you can't really complain that they're not using her right.
I mean, they're giving us some type of option to at least wrestle some of the time. I mean, it would be good to like showcase a little bit more, but at this point, because she is the last Riot Squad member, it's almost like you're just kind of just waiting for that time to run up before she just leaves, or she gets let go. One of the two.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're depending on what happens with the draft. I mean, Becky, Bianca, Sasha are your main people on SmackDown, and then you need something to do with Liv, Zelina, Carmella, like those people. So you're just kind of putting them in these matches, and then you've got Shotzi and Tegan Knox, I guess, they're on SmackDown, right? So I mean, their women's division is fine. It's just they're kind of doing the smart thing by having almost like two separate parts of each women's division. Your title picture, and then you're just, hey, we're here, but we're still using you. We're not just leaving you in the back and catering every show. Like, they're getting TV time, they're getting matches, they're having decent matches, decent length matches occasionally. I mean, obviously, what happened with Zelina in New York and that match getting scrapped, that was a whole fuss online and stuff with that not getting used. So, I mean, I like most of these women. They have good matches. They have decent storylines. It's not super cheesy or anything.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Liv. Like, if she's ever really in that title picture. Like, she's had chances, but like, you never expect her to win the belt. Like, anytime she's in those matches, you're like, oh, she'll get put on a good match. She's in there with somebody who can go, but you don't expect her to be the champion.
I mean, with the draft coming up this Friday, do you see her staying on SmackDown, or do you see her going someplace else?
Yeah, I don't. You're not going to move either of the women's champions. I think they'll stay on their respective shows. So I think you're more likely to move somebody like a Toni Storm. Carmella would probably move just because Corey Graves is on Raw, just so that they're kind of back together. But I'd almost rather Liv stay on SmackDown. I feel like it's a little better suited, but the 3-hour show, you get more time to put more people on TV. So
it was crazy because before the match even started, we started getting some issues with Peacock, which I had hit you up, and I was like, is your TV speaking in Spanish and in English at the same time, or is it just me?
Yeah, and I could barely, like, it was kind of like very low. I was like, are they getting like feedback? Is it something else? I was like, or is it something else in my house making it? And then you said that, and then I saw people online complaining about it. So, I mean, for you speak pretty good Spanish, so you've been all right. But for us, it was like being back in high school. Like, what? Huh? See.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because I was looking over and I was just like, man, thank God I am Puerto Rican and I can speak Spanish, because if I didn't, this would be really annoying. I mean, after a while, it started to get annoying where I was just like what's going on? And then they kind of cleared it up a little bit. Like then you only heard like Corey Graves speak, and I was just like, okay, cool. And then halfway through the match, we got the Spanish announcing again, and I was just like, okay, I guess they didn't take care of it. And I said, hopefully they take care of it after, once the pay-per-view actually starts. Tyson saying his was the same way too. I mean, everybody was like that.
I mean, I wonder if it's just like a technical glitch, or if it has something to do with what happened at the end of the night, where you had music played in the middle of the match. If it was like the way they have to set up audio and stuff, it just kind of a mistake happens type thing.
Yeah. So then we kick off Extreme Rules with a match that was new to the card tonight, which was New Day versus AJ Styles, Omos, and Bobby Lashley. This was something that happened during the kickoff, where they had like a backstage brawl. I don't get why they put AJ Styles and Omos in this this feud with the New Day when they didn't even lose the titles to the New Day.
Right.
I would have been more like Randy Orton and Riddle, which they wasn't even in attendance tonight.
Well, that's it. If you hadn't have had these 6 guys on TV, you wouldn't have had Riddle and Orton. Like, man, that's like half your main card over the last 6 months to a year that aren't on TV tonight. That's pretty crazy.
And then what was even more crazier was during this match, everything was in French. Did you pick that up in yours?
I didn't. I wasn't. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. I was watching like football at the same time. So
So at some point during the match, all of a sudden it started going into French and English, and I was just like, oh, now we're speaking another language.
Yeah,
it was so crazy.
This Peacock changeover just is yet to really work in favor for the wrestling fans.
Oh yeah. But overall, like with the New Day match versus AJ Styles and Omos, I thought like all 6 guys looked really good. Yeah. Both big guys, all 3 big guys, Big E, Omos, and Bobby Lashley looked strong throughout the whole entire match. I love Omos just keeps improving every single match he's been in so far. Yeah, I don't know if Kevin Nash is still training him or maybe somebody else is training him, but they need to keep it up with him.
Yeah, I mean, 6-man tags like that always feel like a Raw type match, which obviously with us getting Big E and Bobby tomorrow night probably means we'll get AJ and Omos against the New Day in just a normal tag match. I know no one loves to see repeat matches, but I mean, they're not going to put on a bad match. I mean, you have the New Day and AJ Styles, like you have 3 like really great competitors, and then like you said, Omos is like really came into his own, and for a big man, it's just really impressing a lot of people. I hope they don't make the mistake of splitting them up with this draft.
Right.
Even if they're not a tag team still, like I think they need to be like around each other on occasion, just for storyline and stuff like that.
I was just gonna get into that, wondering what would happen to Omos and AJ, being that the draft is coming on Friday, and that's the same thing with the New Day. We just got them back together with Big E winning the title, and now he's on Raw. Are we going to continue to see the New Day together, or is WWE going to fuck us one more time and split them up and send Kofi and Woods to SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, you split them up last time, the last draft, with the whole exchanging titles with the Street Profits and stuff. So I would feel like you wouldn't change them again, right? Because it just seems too often. It seems like it should be almost all new people this time. But I hate when they draft like individuals from a team. Like, why would you only draft Kofi if you can draft Kofi and Woods? Like, it never made sense in some of these past drafts where they only took one member from a team. It's like, yeah, but you get both of them regardless. So why are you not taking that person? But I have a feeling this might happen. Like, if they're going to do this King of the Ring tournament and stuff like that, that's been rumored, like, and Woods has been like outspoken online that he wants to be in that tournament. This might be the time to make them an individual, maybe have a Kofi or Woods U.S. title, Intercontinental type run in their future.
And they need to give Woods that chance. I mean, he's really good. I mean, you've seen the exchange that he had with AJ and with Bobby Lashley multiple times. Like, he could, he legit could go. He's been around for a long time. He could, handle his own with anybody. And I think
he's been Woods has been screwed over so many times. Like, every time they release somebody from the company, it's somebody that's part of Up, Down, Down, and it's like I think it's down to like him and Cesaro, it seems, because anyone else that's ever been like on that show, male or female, always seem to get cut. Like, even like back to the Iconics, and then recently with Adam Cole and Tyler Breeze and stuff. Like, it just constantly you're fucking up his YouTube show, which is his show, but at the end of the day, it's also a WWE product.
Yeah, because you look at it, like, especially speaking of Up, Down, Down, it was like, and it's right, because everybody was like, the main characters for Up, Down, Down are pretty much gone except for Cesaro and Woods. Right. Everybody else has pretty much been let go, or they're like sidelined.
Yeah, I mean, that's normally sort of like mid-card talent, because they are finding something else to do when they're not on TV. Like, they're filming backstage. They're trying to get their name out there for people who may not know them. And then all of a sudden they get cut. And you're like, man, you're just kicking Woods while he's down. Like, he needs to be rewarded every once in a while. Which, I get it. He's like a 10-time tag team champion. Like, it's not like he hasn't had whatever. But I'd like to see him get his singles run. Man, I'd love to see him as a heel at some point. I just don't know that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, too.
Yeah.
So we move on to match number 2, which was the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. We had the Usos versus the Street Profits. The beginning of this match, I don't know about you, but it just felt so sloppy.
Yeah, I know that these guys fight a lot, so it's kind of hard to constantly come up with like new content and do something different. But I don't know, with Hawkins not being on TV lately, if that was like part of it. Like, he hasn't been there to kind of go over stuff, and they were just kind of confused if they were calling the match in the ring, or just, I mean, it's two teams that can go. They're both really talented, and they should just mesh together really well. And sometimes it seems like, no, it's like the opposite. Like, they're bumping into each other. They're missing some spots and stuff. Like, it was still a really good match. But,
I mean, it picked up in the middle. It picked up in the middle of the match. Like, the beginning part was just a lot of sloppy moves. That's like one of the things I had in my notes here was like a lot of missed spots. There was a couple of slip ups, but then I kind of seen it like that happened throughout the night with a lot of people. So I don't know if it was like the way the ring was set up, I guess, for this whole Finn Balor ending, or was it just them just messing up move after move? But we constantly seen it throughout the whole entire night, which we'll get into a little bit more as the night goes on.
With Montez having this one-on-one match with Roman last week, it just reiterates that, like, I'm scared they're going to do the Otis and Tucker thing where they're going to break up Montez and then all of a sudden the Street Profits are individuals and only one of them succeeds. Like, the draft is going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah. And that's true, because they say, it might have been the travels. And that's true, because I know They said Angelo was away. He had some family stuff he was doing. He had a wedding. So they probably didn't go over like the whole entire match the way they wanted to. And then you had like Montez that was just, really selling those injured ribs. So, right. I mean, I would love to see them run this back again. Yeah, you know I mean, they do great work regardless, these 4 guys. So I would love to see them try and do like at least a rematch on SmackDown. But with Roman still being champion, I don't really think that they would take away the belt from the Usos, especially if they try to have this whole bloodline, dominance on SmackDown.
Yeah, and I still feel like if you take the belts off one of them, you're taking it probably off both. But at this point, on SmackDown, it kind of feels like they're maybe leaning towards adding Naomi to the bloodline at some point. Like she's having this feud with Sonya. I feel like eventually she's gonna stop being the bubbly personality and she's gonna be a heel, and maybe that's the way to do it, is have her be the female instead of being like a Tamina or somebody like that. Like what a change that would be for Naomi's character to be part of the bloodline.
I mean, if they decide to change Naomi's character, then I'm really hoping that, like Paul Heyman has a hand in this.
Yeah.
Because we all know how WWE is when it comes to trying to change somebody's character. They're going to make Naomi look like the angry black girl backstage. And it's just going to come off so racial. Sure. And everybody on Twitter is going to fucking have a shit show about this. I mean, they already had a shit show with the segment that they had on SmackDown on Friday, which I checked out because I didn't watch SmackDown, but I had to see that segment, and that's exactly what it made it look like. It was just like an angry black girl.
Like her in-ring, because she's not great on the mic, so like she's talking to Sonya and she's trying to tell Sonya like she wants a match with Sonya, and I'm just like, man, this seems like almost like off the cuff, unscripted, and like she just doesn't know what to say. So yeah, you're right. Like Heyman needs to kind of be her mouthpiece. I mean, it worked out for Bayley. Bayley going from a face to heel. People were like, this is not going to work. And she's like the best thing on TV over the past 2 years. So, and she's obviously being missed, not being on TV right now.
Right. I mean, what helped Bayley out to develop her heel character is because she didn't have anybody there.
Right.
There were no fans, and they were mostly taping stuff. So it can easily just like, okay, tape that segment, put it on TV. You think it's live, which we found out that a lot of their segments wasn't even live, that it was just taped, and then put on TV later on. So
you don't have that live audience pressure. So it's like you can cut, edit, you can redo it, stuff like that. You won't have that option if we're going to continue to have a live crowd.
So after that match, we had a backstage segment with Bobby Lashley, once again calling Big E a coward and how he played off the whole injury for his leg when he fought Randy Orton. He's demanding a title match tomorrow night on Raw. Big E responds later on that night and accepts the challenge. So we're going to get these two now tomorrow night, and they're kicking off the show.
Yeah,
which a lot of people, of course we get a lot of AEW fans going on Twitter stating like, "Oh, I wonder where WWE got that idea from."
Come on,
which if we've never had a title match in the beginning of a show before AEW, but hey,
I mean they're so used to WWE starting every show with like in-ring interview segments and promos. So, like, when you have a title match or a wrestling match in general, they're like, oh, like, this is so unoriginal. Like, you're copying AEW. Like, people want that. They want everyone to go into wrestling to start the show. Like, you have a 3-hour show. Hopefully, it's a legit match. We don't have another one of these smosh finish type things. But, yeah, you can't. People were complaining that Bobby was getting a title match. I was like, I mean, at some point, technically, he's supposed to get a rematch. I know they've kind of, over the last couple of years, been like, we don't do those automatically anymore. But for this, you knew it was going to happen. And it'll make Big E look dominant because he's going to hold on to the title. Should have a long run here. It's just who's he going to fight next?
Exactly. So then we move on to match number 3 on my list here. That's Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship. I don't think the crowd was into this match at all. Like,
I mean, the crowd is so pro Alexa, and yeah, it was just a weird match. Like, I'd love to have seen Bliss win, but then I hate Charlotte winning all these titles and then only holding on to them for like less than a month. Like, it's very annoying that all of her title reigns are very short, because then she's just going to keep having them. I'd rather her be an extended champion. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, the crowd really wasn't into it outside of just kind of cheering for Alexa, and then you try to throw in some random stuff between them and the doll. And are we kind of building towards Alexa turning back to herself? Like, Charlotte,
she needs to.
Yeah, like Charlotte kind of hinted towards it, like on Raw. She was like, "I want the old Alexa back. That's who I want to wrestle and stuff." And like ripping up the doll. Like, we'll see if she like brings the doll back all like sewn up on Monday, if the doll's gone, and this is like a slow way to get her back to normal Alexa, which would be great. But like, there's going to be so many people who are there's already people pissed off, but there's going to be so many people disappointed if this whole Alexa thing doesn't have like a huge payoff, because we already lost it with not having Bray there anymore. I mean, it's done a lot for Alexa's career to have this different iteration, but in the end, yeah, she has to go back to normal Alexa.
Right. I would have thought, since them, like letting go of Bray Wyatt, that they would have, transitioned her back into the original Alexa Bliss that we've known, but they kept her up with the the playground and everything else, and then they introduced Lily, and it was just like, okay, well, what's the payoff? And the payoff was that the doll was more over than the two competitors in the ring. Like, when you have a whole arena chanting Lily,
right?
Like, okay, so like, I know Vince McMahon probably backstage is just like, shit, we got to get rid of this doll, and I think that's why they destroyed Lily. RIP to Lily.
What's funny, because they just started selling it as merchandise like 2 weeks ago, and they
always do,
and they sold out of them. Yeah, like they're making money off of it, but yeah, eventually you have to go back to it. But it's going to be the people who are like, see, you got rid of Bray, you fired Bray, you killed that storyline, you killed this storyline, and then she'll be back to normal Alexa, and then everyone will just be like, well, that was a waste. And then if you don't do something with her within the next 3 to 6 months, people are just going to hate on normal Alexa, unless they do weird stuff where, like, as she transitions back, she has like these weird flashbacks every once in a while, something like that maybe. But I don't know if then you're getting too much of the split personality, like Bray had with the Fiend, and I don't think we want that over again.
Yeah, and then the one thing that I loved the most was like everybody at the end was like, "Thank you, Lily," and I'm just like, well, what the fuck did she do that everybody's saying thank you? Like, she wasn't doing promos, she didn't have a match. Like,
yeah, the only thing I really hated about this segment was like when Bliss, I guess, came from under the announce table. I guess there was like an Alka-Seltzer type packet. She tried to put it in her mouth and do the foaming thing, like she was going crazy. And when she was on the ramp, you could clearly see like the half diluted pill in her mouth. So I was like, oh, they fucked that up. Like, they couldn't find something else to use.
Like, and the cameraman just kept it right on her too.
Right.
So like, everybody was just like, my wife was looking at me and she was like, what is that in her mouth? And I was just like, it looks like an Alka-Seltzer. I was like, I don't know, but so, Charlotte retains her title. So I wonder what's going to happen next with her. Obviously, she's probably most likely going to continue on with the storyline with Bliss. And we'll see what happens on Monday. Most likely they'll end up keeping Alexa on Raw if they continue this storyline. And then give us a small little commercial, obviously, throughout the matches. And it looks like we're going to have Ladies Night on NXT 2.0. They're like surprising us with different things every single week so far, it looks like, with different name changes, new titles. And now we have Ladies Night. So I'm assuming this is going to be an all-women show with like no male competitors at all on Tuesday.
Right, which they have a pretty deep tag division, and they've got their women's title picture, so they could easily do it. It's just the fact they're calling out to it, like, which I know a lot of people were pissed off that they didn't do like the second Women's Evolution pay-per-view and stuff like that. But I like certain parts of NXT 2.0, like the direction they're going in.
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of like the way they're introducing all these new people by just like having them backstage or in the ring, and they're just like, I'm Kenny Deacons, and you're like, who? Like, there's like nothing, like they're already in the ring or they're already fighting someone, or there's just like no explanation of who they are, where they came from, backstory. I mean, maybe they'll build on that, but the ladies' night thing will be interesting because you can have all that, and then you give all the guys a night off and build towards, I guess, whatever next takeover or whatever. If hopefully they're still doing takeovers, then I don't think
they are. I don't think they are because they would have gave us because remember during Survivor Series we get War Games.
Yep.
And we're not even getting that in November. That's from my knowledge because Survivor Series is here in New York. Right. And looking at the card for the Barclays Center, they only have Survivor Series and Monday Night Raw. Like they did the tickets for that, and they didn't do anything else. So I don't know what happens to War Games. I think we've seen our last War Games last year with the Undisputed Era. But next match we had Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, and the United States champion Damian Priest in a triple threat match. I don't know what the hell happened to Damian Priest. Maybe he went out for his birthday. He had too much to drink. He maybe had food that he wasn't supposed to have. Oh my God, we have somebody from the Run In podcast checking in on us. We have mom and dad checking in on us, guys, making sure that we are not destroying the house. And yes, we are still keeping everything intact. We're talking about the United States triple threat match here right now, which to me looked like Damian Priest was tired half throughout the match. I think he was maybe a little winded. He pulled on Arn Anderson and fell from the side of the ring.
Wow, I missed that. See, I should have watched this match instead of like going to pee and take a nap or something. I didn't watch this match. I can't watch a Damian Priest match. I can barely watch a Jeff Hardy match, and Sheamus is very hit or miss to me. So
right.
I totally skipped this match.
So all three competitors did very well. From my notes here, the crowd was like fully behind Jeff Hardy.
To the
point,
Hardy.
Yeah, to the point where like everybody was just like hoping he would win, but obviously because they still have Damian Priest as their United States champion and they're trying to like push him, I don't really think that they were going to take the belt off him anytime soon.
No,
but to see that, obviously we've all been Jeff Hardy fans, so it's just like for him to, still get that pop from everybody in the crowd could like show like, hey, maybe we can do something with him down the line. But there was a lot of spots that Damian Priest was either missing or doing very late or like slipping from, like he fell from from the outside of the ring. He was doing a spot with Sheamus. There was another spot with him and Jeff Hardy going when Jeff had to go up towards the top rope where it was kind of like a hit or miss type of thing, like the way they landed. But obviously, and then the finish on that one was crazy because they ended up doing a roll up.
Right. Yeah. I was about to say I walked in the room right as it was ending. You had the Jeff getting knocked into and then Sheamus getting rolled up, and which means you're just gonna end up like running this back again. Because you don't have Miz in that picture right now, and who knows what you're going to do with Morrison now that he's kind of a face. So unless you, with the draft, moving people around, or you like put guys like Ricochet or somebody in a picture like that. But yeah, I didn't care for the pose down at the end with Jeff and Damian Priest, like buddy. Like I get that the crowd's over for both of them, which I feel bad for like the younger kids who are into Jeff Hardy, because Jeff Hardy's going to end his career with Matt in AEW. Like, he's destined to, when this contract runs out, he's going to go there because AEW will fucking put them together and let them win the tag titles. So,
because I mean, the only reason why Jeff Hardy is still in WWE is because he had the whole injuries, thing going on. So they froze his contract. If not, he probably would have been long gone with Matt Hardy in AEW, probably doing like better storylines than what Matt Hardy is doing now in AEW.
Sure.
Not saying that it's bad, but he definitely needs his brother with him to do a couple of better storylines with what they're doing now. So the next match that we have here was like the co-main event was for the SmackDown Women's title. The Man, Becky Lynch versus the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair. I was not entertained with this match in the beginning. It just felt like they were just practicing their moves back and forth. And obviously, they've been going through this throughout the different house shows. They just went to the UK and did a whole bunch of shows out there, and that's where they were practicing this match overseas. So, to bring it here now to the States, I would have thought they would have gave us a little bit more, but it just felt like the same stuff that I was watching online. Like, I literally could have just went on YouTube, watched a whole bunch of clips, and that would have been the match that I watched tonight.
Yeah, their chemistry is really weird together in the ring, because they're just so different. And now it makes more sense of why you didn't like have a full blown match maybe at SummerSlam between them. Like that way you could set up and let them practice and try to have a good match.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, it just kind of wasn't feeling it at first. It got fine towards the middle and the end. Probably smart to end it this way with the return of Sasha Banks interfering so that you could set up that for the future. But at this point, that makes me think all three of those women are staying on SmackDown. Yeah, like I'm still. I think I've said it multiple times. Like there are parts of Bianca I really enjoy, and other times where I'm just like, she's not on the same level as like the whole package. Like she has the look. She can wrestle, but like her personality and stuff like in the ring is not quite the same as just like who she is and stuff. And it throws me off sometimes in her matches where she's not believable sometimes to me as the like champion, I guess. And maybe that's because she's still young and in like a year or two, she might be the most dominant thing there. And maybe they just pushed her a little too early, but they did a good job with her in NXT, and I like what they're doing with her right now, but I don't put her on the same level as a Bayley, a Sasha, Becky, Charlotte, like any of those people.
Yeah, so the good father saying that he thinks that Bianca's been killing it with the last couple of promos that she's been doing. I have to agree with him. I really think
the ones. Yeah, I'll let you. Yeah, some of the ones I've seen I liked, but they were like backstage. So I was like, how many of these are taped? What happens when she's in front of an audience? Because it seems like when her and Becky were doing like those contract signings, she would kind of get like thrown off. And I get Becky's trying to be a heel and do something different, but it just together they just don't mesh the way I feel like they should have.
I just feel like you're right. Like when Bianca is doing her promos backstage, like she's more confident in doing the promo because she's not in front of the crowd, But when she is doing a promo with the fans in front of her, she kind of like looks too much towards the audience to get a response like word for word. So if one or two people don't like it, or she gets in, I guess, eye contact with somebody, it kind of throws her off a little bit. And she does it like she kind of reverses back to like something that she's done in the past, with like NXT. But now with Banks in the picture, now we're kind of wondering, we're going to end up seeing a triple threat.
Sure.
If they were smart, because what we have, most likely they're going to end up doing it at Crown Jewel.
Well, let's see. We're almost through this month, so we have when is Survivor Series? Is it the end of November? Or is it early?
No, it's in November.
Yeah, no. Is it the end of November or early?
The 21st.
Okay, yeah. So, because I'm wondering, like, if you at Crown Jewel, if you have that match, or do they put Sasha and Bayley on the same team, but then like she attacked her? Like, I could see them putting somebody like a Liv Morgan, or maybe there's someone else they could put with Bianca, to fight. I mean, I guess it depends on what happens with the draft and stuff like that too. But it's going to be, Crown Jewel's going to be a pay-per-view / super show. So, and then Survivor Series is normally your Raw versus SmackDown and your mixed stuff.
I really think the way everything is going this year, we don't need a Raw versus SmackDown. Survivor Series traditional matches. I mean, it's rather just try and get like, a lot of these feuds just taken care of and just get them over with. Because like, if you're gonna have Raw versus SmackDown, then you're gonna end up having Big E versus Roman. I really would like to see the Bloodline versus the New Day one more time.
Yeah, and so I'd rather have that than the one-on-one match.
Exactly.
As much as I want to see that, I just feel like it's gonna hurt Big E losing a match like that, unless it's a crazy finish or something. Because at this point, it doesn't seem like Roman's losing to anybody outside of maybe Brock or whatever happens at Mania, I guess.
Right. And we're still trying to wonder what's going to happen for Mania, wondering like who his opponent is going to be. Yeah. I mean, everybody still wants The Rock to come. They will be celebrating his anniversary for Survivor Series this year. So you know he might end up showing up in Brooklyn and doing a little appearance. So now we have the main event. We had Roman Reigns versus the Demon Finn Balor. The Demon looked incredible tonight. I mean, he was so toyetic that I'm just like, I know he's going to end up being an elite sometime next year.
Yeah. I mean, smart to have taken all this time not having the Demon on TV to kind of like build that back up, that character and stuff.
Right.
And hopefully we don't see it again for quite a while. I kind of didn't care for him coming out Friday on SmackDown as the Demon and stuff like that. You should have really only seen the Demon once in the introduction and once in the match. But yeah, I guess you were trying to make it seem how, and they even talked about how he hadn't lost a match and all this kind of stuff. Like they're trying to build this guy might beat Roman, and then obviously not.
Yeah, I mean, the way the match was going back and forth, it was typical Roman, where you had him doing his regular moveset against his opponents until it got to the outside of the ring, and then you seen him put on the mask. Because I was kind of wondering what he was asking Paul Heyman for, and then when he put on the face mask, I was just like, oh, okay. Like if you're gonna put on a face mask, at least make it maybe match your the glove that he wears, and it didn't. So maybe it's just something that they kind of just thought about quickly and said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. I think on the outside, and you need to wear a mask all the time.
Should have been a Michigan Wolverine when the Ohio State people would have lost their mind.
Exactly.
I loved Pat McAfee on commentary, just like talking shit about the Ohio fans. He's like, not what I said. He's like that's what Roman said. That came from Roman. I was like, he's so good on commentary.
Oh, I love Pat McAfee on commentary. I think that was one of in the beginning, I was just like, oh shit, you're gonna put Pat McAfee, and he was on NXT, and then he actually did his thing, and now having him on commentary for SmackDown, I think it was like the best move for them, because he's just so energetic that he's gonna get the crowd hyped no matter what. Yeah, I mean the ending, the match was great overall, but the ending was just crap.
Yeah, the red light. We learn from that with the Seth Rollins Bray Hell in the Cell, and like the music. Like it would have been one thing to have like just the little bit of sound, but like him like pumping life and his heartbeat back in looked dumb.
He was offbeat.
His theme music kept playing, like even kind of low in the background. I was like, it's one thing to play like a couple seconds of it, but they played like his actual like entrance with like even like the light going up and stuff. Like the light didn't go up, but like the tone of the music, I'm like, this is really weird. Like this was unnecessary. I get what you were trying to do, and then then he climbs the top rope, and there's so much there's so much smoke and stuff you can barely even see him. And obviously I don't know how they did that to drop the rope, if it was something from the other corner, if they were obviously it was something they had set up beforehand, or while they were doing all this outside stuff with the Usos and the table spot and the music and all that. But yeah, very, very dangerous spot with the rope just dropping like that. I mean, obviously Finn dropped down to the next set of ropes and crushed himself, but yeah, he could easily blow an ACL or something out dropping like that.
What's crazy is that I have to agree with the good fella 1422 when he was just like he spears him through the barricade, he pops back up, he's like, but he falls from the top rope and he's dead. Like you tell, like it could have made it more dramatical than that if you're gonna let him just jump off the top rope and fall off because the thing breaks off. Because I looked at it and my wife was looking at me, she was like, well, what the hell just happened? I just shook my head and I said, bad booking. Like whoever wrote the ending was just like, oh yeah, this is great. And then they just kind of like look at the finished product and was just like, shit, this was awful.
Well, I think they're like, let's bring back Finn the Demon and it be this big buildup. And they're like, great idea. And then you go to do the match. You're like, fuck, how do we write an ending to this match? Like, like you've put yourself in a corner and you don't know how to get out of it. So now Demon's got like a loss on his record, which for some reason I kept thinking he had lost another match to Samoa Joe, but I guess not.
Right.
In NXT. But now it's like, I mean, obviously Roman is going to Crown Jewel to fight Brock. A lot of people shocked that Brock wasn't on this show. I'm actually okay with it. I don't need Brock to appear every time like Roman's in the ring by himself. Like build without it. Like
I actually thought that he was going to come out. I mean, because the last couple of pay-per-views that we had with Roman ending the show, somebody came out. You had Brock Lesnar, you had Finn, you had John Cena. So like this was like the first time that he walked out and like nothing happened at the end.
Yeah, almost would have been too predictable if you had done it. But I mean, that could have been a way to take the belt off Roman, is to have Brock costing the match. But then
it looks like we have some technical difficulties. So while we get Mike back on the air here, but you're absolutely right, D-Star. WWE is becoming a joke now, and it's getting sad to the point where like a lot of fans are just getting tired of having the same matches over and over again, and like these just bullshit finishes. I don't know what they're gonna do next. We're gonna obviously go into Crown Jewel coming in next month, especially with Brock Lesnar coming back. Trying to get Mike back. I don't know what's going on, but until Mike comes back, I'm gonna pop him off here, and hopefully we can get Mike back on here. But yeah, but for the most part, I thought this pay-per-view was good, even with the messed up spots that they had. Obviously, now we're going to get Roman versus Brock Lesnar. So we're kind of seeing what's going to happen there with Money in the Sand, a.k.a. Crown Jewel. We have the draft coming up on Friday. So we're kind of wondering, like, where is everybody going to go? Is AJ and Almost going to stay together? Are the New Day going to stay together? Are we going to have champions switch over? I really think that I don't think that we're going to move Roman from SmackDown. Just because Fox is so invested in WWE at this point with their contract, still having 3 years left in their contract with WWE, and Roman being such a draw for the company, that you're kind of wondering, like, what's going to happen. And Mike is back. I was wondering what happened to you.
I thought it was you, and then I'm like, nope, I've had internet issues all weekend.
So I was saying, obviously, we know Roman won the title, and we're kind of wondering like what's going to happen next with, with SmackDown and Raw. The draft is on Friday. Do we see some major changes, in the roster? Do we see some call-ups from like old faces of NXT? Obviously, we're not going to see the newer, people from NXT come up. But like Johnny Gargano, Kyle O'Reilly, other other names like that will most likely end up coming up to the main roster, because you still have like their women's champion still there. You have Raquel Gonzalez there. You have Dakota Kai there. They could bring up what's the girl's name? Frankie Monet.
Oof.
But she wants her own in NXT, so I'm most likely to end up just keeping her there. But
they've shown a lot of people on TV in the first 2 weeks of NXT 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people who haven't been on TV, like your Raquel's and Johnny Gargano's, stuff like that. I mean, obviously, unless with this all women show, unless you do something to take the belt off Raquel or announce some kind of women's tournament, it'd be dumb to take the belt off her. Like, she should dominate that division like Asuka did for as long as possible. Now that Candice is out, and I mean, I could see you moving. I mean, there's a couple of girls they could easily move, and like, do you bring back like Mia Yim in the draft to, like, she hasn't been on TV in a long time. Keith Lee, people like that. Like, I feel like the draft needs to be more mid-card people that they're moving around, like, just to add some new people into title pictures. Like, I don't think you need to move any of the champions, because if you move the IC champ, you have to move the US champ. If you move the tag champs, you have to do that. So same thing with like splitting people up. Like, I don't see a reason to, because if you can draft the New Day, draft the New Day. You don't need to draft one or the other. That part never makes sense to me. So unless you tell them the only way you can get both New Day is use 2 of your picks,
right?
And they're going to end up probably doing the thing where Raw gets 2 picks for SmackDown's 1 because it's a longer show. But yeah, I feel like there's going to be people from NXT like Gargano and stuff that I think get picked just to have some new blood on TV, and kind of get those people away from NXT, because you're building all these new people, which is probably why it was really surprising to see Ciampa win the belt, because I think people thought if you're going to go with all new characters and this like brighter show, then you should have put it on LA Knight or one of these other new guys, which they can still do over the next few weeks.
Because the way they're building Braun Breaker now, it looks like he's going to be in the title picture pretty soon. He looks like somebody that Vince will love to have as a champion right away, because he's such a big guy, and he's getting over with the crowd, with the internet, fans. So it's only a matter of time before we see Breaker and Ciampa coming in. We could possibly see Ciampa end up just switching and actually coming up to the main roster, because like the way things are going with NXT, you never know if you're going to be champion for more than a week or 2 weeks. He can go on Raw tomorrow and relinquish the title for all we know.
Yeah, I mean, the one person I'm hoping gets drafted, and I don't know if they're better suited for Raw or SmackDown, but I think would be a big boost to the roster is Walter. I think Walter, the story's out that he's permanently moving to the U.S. instead of traveling back and forth. So at this point, it's time to put him on the main show, because he's gonna be able to fit right in with those guys, compared to some of the other people they brought up that just haven't worked out well.
Right. I'm just wondering if Walter's gonna, like, how is he gonna fit with the schedule that WWE has? Especially, he doesn't like to travel in the States, so that's gonna be a big adjustment for him, being that he hates to travel. And now now they're doing more house shows. So it's like, okay, now you're going to end up being on these house shows. How are you going to like fare out with the rest of the roster? And are they going to continue to, have him as a dominant big man?
Right. Yeah. You don't want to do what they did with Keith Lee and like completely abandon his dominance and his character and stuff like that. So there's a lot of potential, but we've also seen the draft totally screw some people over at the same time, like splitting the Iconics, like
which made absolutely no sense.
Yeah, it made no sense, and look what happened. Like, you had a chance to make a run with both of them singles, you never did it. Now neither one are with the company anymore. They're gonna end up back in wrestling sooner than later as a tag team, and they've already built this great fan base and like name for themselves. So they're obviously going to land on their feet. They already have with a successful podcast. So now coming back to wrestling, I mean, the draft will be interesting. I think it just depends on how they do it, how many picks. I hope it's more mid-carders and teams and stuff moving around, just so we have fresh matches and kind of keeping the champions where they're at. Yeah, there will be some surprises.
Oh, yeah. So I can't wait for Friday to see what the draft looks like. Monday Night Raw so far it looks like we only have one good match, which is going to be Big E versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE title. Most likely we're going to end up getting more talk about Charlotte and Alexa. Most likely we're going to end up getting a little bit of Lily reaction. Drew to SmackDown will be good. I mean, because they're not doing anything with Drew McIntyre right now, so for him to go to SmackDown will actually be a really good thing. He can actually pick up that feud that he had with Roman from before, and and that will be a whole lot better storyline for Roman right now, because unless you're going to run back the whole Finn Balor thing until Crown Jewel.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I feel like the Finn was a one and done thing for title picture wise, and more than likely you change what show. He seems to be one of those guys I would change shows for.
Yeah, that's true. Like, do you keep Finn on SmackDown or do you send him off to Raw?
Yeah, I think he fits in more with Raw for who he is and just getting more TV time and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks before we get to Crown Jewel.
All right. So before I let you go, who are your top 5 people that you feel are going to stay on Raw and SmackDown?
That are going to stay 5 on each, 5 total.
Yeah, well, 5 on each.
Oh boy, stay on Raw and SmackDown.
Non-champions.
Oh shit! Because I was immediately going
got you on the spot.
Shit, now I got to think of people who actually work on these shows, because I almost feel like you should keep the champions and change all the other people. Man, that's hard. I think Bliss stays on Raw. Man, it seems like Gable and Otis are starting to kind of push like they're going to get a title match, so they're gonna stay on SmackDown. Nakamura is staying on. No, he's a champion, so he has to stay.
Most likely the Street Profits.
I think
they already got switched once. I don't think they're gonna get switched again.
I don't think they switched them. I don't think they switched the Mysterios. I could see them switching Dolph and Robert Roode again, because it just didn't seem to work the last time.
Right.
Trying to think of some of the other women. Carmella, I think does get switched. I think she's been so much SmackDown. I think Raw would be a change of pace for her. I wonder if anybody, because they did it last time when Charlotte was out, they drafted Charlotte even though she wasn't there. Almost wonder if they do that with Bayley. Does Bayley get drafted even though she's not going to be on TV until after Rumble, after Mania, more than likely? Yeah, you kind of stumped me, because it's so hard to think of people on the roster and then try to think of people who aren't champs, because I would like to – I could see them moving Rhea Ripley, but she's a tag champ, so she technically can appear on both shows right now.
Yeah. I can see them probably moving Natalya to SmackDown and leaving.
I think they split them up. Raw. Yeah, I think they're done as a tag team.
I don't know if they're most likely to end up bringing Chauncey and Tegan. If they do, Tegan most likely will probably stay on SmackDown, and Blackheart will most likely go to Raw, because she kind of fits that build.
I see them split them up so quickly, because they've been in matches, but they haven't really had their title opportunity yet. What's the
you still have Asuka, but I'm kind of wondering if their rule for the draft, like if you're injured, are you still draftable, or do they kind of just leave you on the fence?
Yeah, because I guess like they've kind of not talked about Asuka's injury. Like she put out the picture the other day of her in the like the sling or whatever, and I was like, oh, that's what happened to Asuka. So, and then maybe you have Asuka on one show. I could see if maybe tomorrow. Well, no, because they've already written. What is her name? Nia Jax. They've written Nia off TV now with her arm injury.
Yep.
So I think
Shayna.
So I think Shayna switches shows. Yeah.
I could see Shayna being on SmackDown and actually doing something over there after the whole Bianca and Banks feud.
There's somebody. What's the other? It's totally escaping me. Asian girl that's on NXT, not Xia Li.
Io Shirai. She could be another one that can get called up as well.
That's her and Gargano are the two I think are almost guaranteed to get called up.
Right. Well, we'll see what's going on. Do you have anything going on? Do you still have the donation stuff, right, for the charity?
Yeah, so I do it every year. Every November, we raise money for Children's Norton Hospital or Norton's Children's Hospital, and we've changed. We did one in Indiana one year, one in Kentucky. So like around my area this year, we're doing Cincinnati because I've got a friend his son has been in and out of that hospital over the last couple of years because he was born early, so they just have to always go back and do checkups and stuff after he finally got out of the hospital. So of course, like their bills are astronomical and stuff. So yeah, basically we do a 24-hour video game stream in November.
Nice.
But they try to raise as much money beforehand, and then like the day of, it really ramps up where people will like jump on Twitch and see you're playing, and they just try to. You can do donations for incentives and stuff like that. Right. But obviously Phil and Tom and DJ have kind of chipped in and thrown some stuff in to incentivize people to donate. Chance to win some elite figures. I've thrown in some figures. Tom and DJ threw in a T-shirt for the run-in. So we've raised.
I have a Ric Flair Funko Pop if you want it to throw into the prize over there, but I don't think anybody will want Flair in.
Flair's a hard sell, the people right now. But yeah, so yeah, I think we've raised as a group. I think we're at our initial goal was $4,000. We always kind of set it low because that's about what we did last year, but we've almost already beat that, and we're still over a month away. So we're actually probably going to shoot more for like 7 or 8. We just kind of set a low number just to kind of get started. But we have more people participating this year than we've ever had, so we're easily going to hit it. So probably I think Phil's elite giveaway ends in about 2.5 weeks, so it'll probably be all over the Run-In podcast and the Fig Cave page and Twitter and stuff like that, in case anybody hasn't gotten in on it and still wants to. And then we'll talk about it again probably the beginning of November, right before the actual stream. Try not to flood people for donations and stuff like that, but I will ask a few times. So if you can donate $5-10 every dollar helps. So it's appreciated.
And we'll definitely plug it here on the live streams. Try to do it as much as we can. Obviously on Instagram and Twitter, we'll start plugging that away as well. And then if anybody who's a part of the Fake Cave, obviously, we'll keep plugging that there as well. For myself, I have a mock draft coming up tomorrow on YouTube. Just going over who might go where. Hopefully my picks are correct. Tuesday, I have an interview with Raj Giri. He is the owner and founder of Wrestling Inc. I got to sit down with him last week just to get to know him a little bit more and find out like the media side of wrestling and how hard it is to report things, especially him being like in the journalist role and just having like other journalists, in his team, and like just how much like social media has changed wrestling. So we got to speak a little bit about that. And then Wednesday is just my normal live show about NXT 2.0.
And you're going to Survivor Series, right?
Yeah. So I'll be at Survivor Series come November. Probably will do Monday Night Raw. I have a ticket for it. If I don't go, then most likely I'll probably just end up just doing like a raffle for it and give the money to charity.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome of you. So yeah, that's awesome. So that firsthand experience. Yeah, because there's the second night of the draft that Raw is in Nashville, so it's like close enough I could go. But then they're actually having a SmackDown here in town, like the first week in November. So it's like gotta decide which ones. I could go to both, but at this point, I don't need that much wrestling live in my life.
I've done enough. Like me.
Yeah, I've been to enough shows in my lifetime.
Right. All right. Well, that is it for us. We went over Extreme Rules. We went over our thoughts of the draft. We plugged in whatever it is we had to plug in. We had a good crowd of people come in and drop questions, which was great. So people are starting to pick up the show a lot more, which is awesome. So thank you for the people who are sticking around to listen to us yap about pay-per-views and donations and God knows whatever else we wanted to talk about right now. And that is pretty much it. I will see you guys tomorrow.